There's my collection of Kirby stuff. I just wish I had a better place to store them in, but you know, you can't not everything can be displayed proudly when we must face the realities of storage room. And the original North American release of Kirby's Dream Land is one of the jewels of this collection, even though there's a big hole in the back, for some reason. But don't worry, I have the cartridge in a plastic case, so even though there's a hole, dust won't get to it.
Hello everybody, this is Mackerel Phones. The next few playthroughs I intend to do are going to be 3 of the most recent Kirby games that I missed. But before I go to that, I thought I'd go back to where it all began. I haven't played a Kirby's Dream Land in a few years, although I admit I played a little bit of it the other day. It's one of those old games that doesn't allow you to save, but it's short and simple enough to finish in one sitting without any problems. Green Greens, where it all began. Kirby's, first Waddle Dees! And they hit me. Off to a good start. There goes a Twizzy. Twizzies are one of those Kirby enemies that did not catch on. For those unaware, the storyline in Kirby's Dream Land is that King Dedede has stolen the food from the people of Dreamland, and moreover, the special magical stars that produce the food for them. And Kirby here goes to get it back. Kirby is introduced as as some guy in Dreamland, and I suppose that all these enemies are King Dedede's soldiers. Although, of course, the Waddle Dees wouldn't become iconically his henchmen until years later. Kirby meets Poppy Brothers Sr. I've always thought the idea of these bomb-slinging, deranged clowns was pretty scary. Oh. A very simple mini-boss, of course. You might notice that he just explodes. You see, in this one, Kirby does not have copy abilities. That was introduced in Kirby's Adventure in order to, sort of make the game easier. I ran right into that Bronto Bart. When I was first playing this when I was a kid and, more accustomed to, the, modern games which have the foreground and the background on separate planes, I thought it was kind of interesting the way that here they are, rendered on the same plane. It's also rather odd that these Grizzos, or, just bears, are walking around inside a tree like this. Oh, more cappies. They don't have any caps, though. The first Maximum Tomato, or Maximato, I think they're actually called. That means I was wrong for years. Well, here is a Waddle Dee who runs particularly fast. I'm wondering, though, if there's some secret out here that I can get. I suppose not. One of the goals in creating the original Kirby's Dream Land was to make a game that would be accessible to, well, just about anybody. So they wanted to make it much easier than the standard fare at the time. It also probably explains the cute aesthetic. Oh. Listen to that sort of bass. Kirby meets Wispy Woods. Or, I suppose this is their first fight, I should say. Kirby probably already knew old Wispy. Okay, let's not get hit this time. Hey, what am I squatting for? Kirby's already plenty short enough to avoid those puffs of air. And here we have the first star that Dedede stole. Oh. Okay, there's Broomhatter. Fortunately, she didn't fall on us. Okay. And here we have the introduction of Kirby's horrible, horrible singing voice. Now those little ghosts, I believe they're called boolers. They never caught on. So this is Castle Lololo. I suppose based on a Kirby Superstar that it's located in the Float Islands. Just bombs just lying around, you know. So as you can see, it's a big haunted castle. Oh, I remember these masks. I don't remember what they do, but I remember those masks. Lololo and... No, wait, I want to look around that... Oh, we can't go back. Mumbies! What? Okay, it's Mumbies. It's Mumbies. I'd forgotten that they were in the first one. Here they're not chasing Kirby, though. In the anime, when Kirby meets Mumbies, it's some kind of demon beast that Nightmare had sent throughout that Nightmare sent to various places throughout the galaxy to hunt down Star Warriors. And of course it was a big deal because Kirby couldn't inhale it. And here it's just a normal enemy. Anyway, that was a Lololo just there. Though it looks like he exploded, he's fine. We are gonna meet him later. Oh, all these haunted, spooky traps. Wait a minute. Is that a plate of delicious curry? So it is. And when Kirby eats curry, it's so hot that it causes him to begin spitting out fire. Personally, I've never really eaten Japanese-style curry that was all that spicy. Can I go through? Nah. Sometimes there are little hidden passageways. I suppose that Lololo and La 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 are King Dedede's servants, or his retainers or something. Oh wait, this is the first Gordo! History in the making. I believe these bats are called Flappies. They never really turned up much in later Kirby games, though. Is this where I need to go? Yeah, it is. And these enemies are just pretty relentless. Now, Lololo and La 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 are obviously a reference to the Eggerland games, given that they are identical to the protagonists in them. Although those protagonists are Lolo and Lala, so I don't really know that they're the same people. Now, interestingly, in the anime, Lololo and La 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 are two of Kirby's friends. And, not only that, but they're the lowly servants of King Dedede's cabinet minister. But here they have their own castle. I suppose that over the years, they ended up improving their position, in the government. Anyway, they're fine. They come up in later games, so they're not dead or anything. And here we have the next star. Listen to that beautiful music. Oh, it was Squishy! So I was just so excited to see Squishy. Oh, it's one of these guys. I think they're called Peasers, but they might be called Whizzers. I know that there's a Peaser and a Whizzer, but I don't know which is which. And yes, that's right, they're two ocean-based enemies that shoot out beams that are named after urine. And here we have a Waddle-Doo. And as you can see, no copy ability. Now there's an underwater Shotzo. I'm not really sure. I imagine it's bouncing around on a trampoline or something. I forget what these little hermit crabs are called. Man, they're very aggressive around these parts. As you might notice, Kirby's appearance hasn't really changed much over the years. They just used to draw him, I guess, a little bit more, like, pear-shaped, we might say. I feel like that was a waste. We also have the famous exploding coconuts. Oh, look at this beautiful... Or is that the sun, or is it supposed to be a cloud? I'm gonna say it's the sun. You know... Oh, it's a Kaboo! Well, you know, HAL with their... Well, in the words of, I believe, I think it was Jeremy Parrish who remarked that HAL's stock in trade is excellence. So it's no wonder to see them doing this nicely. Those two Kaboo spinning around in there. In later Kirby games, they'd probably teleport out of there. Kirby's like walking animation when his mouth is full. Now, of course, you see here these ones are teleporting. It's really kind of mysterious how they do all that kind of stuff. Oh, we cannot do Kirby's slide kick in this one. Interesting. The water is full of stars. Alas, they're not the ones Kirby's searching for. As you can see, they have a very involved swimming animation for him. I mean, it's fine that they don't, of course. I mean, at this age, well, I think it's just good that they made this game at all. It's fine that they don't have that swimming animation, though, of course. You know, a game of this vintage doesn't really need it, nor should it really be expected. Oh, I guess the hermit crab enemy's shtick is that they, can't be inhaled when they're in their shells for some reason. Oh, this is not a door. I suppose they just marked it that way to highlight the presence of the maximum tomato. Or the Maximato, I guess. The Float Islands music remains one of my favorites. Oh, and here we go onto a ship that I suppose belongs to King Dedede. Now, of course, we cannot use our fire breath to destroy Shotzos, because they are Shotzos, after all. As indestructible as a Gordo. What's in here? Oh. Now, I know it causes Kirby a bit of pain to eat all that curry, but some things have to be done for the greater good. Of course, the idea of exploring a ship would be greatly expanded upon in Kirby's Adventure. It's often been noted just how amazing it is that Kirby went from this game to Kirby's Adventure. A huge difference. Kirby's Dream Land here, of course, has a very simple story, and is very short, one-sitting, easy kind of game. With a lot of charm, clearly. But Kirby's Adventure, in contrast, has a story that's complex enough to involve an elaborate setup and a big twist. And... oh, it's the mint leaf. No, it's a sweet potato, I think. I forget what this one does. Oh yes, yeah, it's a sweet potato because it gave him gas. And here Kirby is having his showdown against King Dedede's blimp, Kabula. I suppose the Kabula is some sort of robot because it's clearly too small for anyone to be piloting it. Or to be piloting her, I'm sorry. She's referred to in the manual with feminine pronouns. Which makes enough sense because, you know, ships are traditionally referred to as with feminine pronouns for whatever reason. And with Kabula out of the way, we get the next star. Cloud cloned him! Now, it's a nice transition between the float islands and these clouds. It creates a sense of continuity between the levels. Oh, this Shotzo remains trained on Kirby. I suppose that it's also some kind of robot. The little guys with the pointy hats who keep falling, I think they're called Dizzies, but I don't quite... Oh, Scarfies! First Scarfies! The anime has an episode in which Scarfies are shown as pets that King Dedede gets, and they escape into the wild and become feral. Or rather, he releases them into the wild because he's an irresponsible idiot who doesn't care about the environment or the safety of his citizens. First parasol enemies. King DDD, I guess, can't quite afford paratroopers. Or he does, but he doesn't have them in parachutes. I mustn't be here. Well, let's go into this palace. Sir Kibble! Here's Sir Kibble! And here's another one somehow. A third one! In my awe at seeing so many Sir Kibbles at once, you know, I lost track of what was going on. Sir Kibble has seen a lot of stuff. He's been cloned over and over. Oh. You notice in this one, they don't seem to be jumping over their boomerangs. Oh, these little cloud enemies. I forget what they're called, but they're also, one of the enemies that have yet to appear in any other Kirby game. Unlike a lot of games of this vintage, which you have to complete in one sitting, this one actually seems reasonable to complete it in one sitting. Which is, you know, of course, part of the point. It's very short, it's very simple, in contrast to something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which, while probably a good game, I say probably because I don't have enough experience with it myself, is really, like, cryptic and difficult and really long to be completed in one go. I'd also have the same complaint against things like Bionic Commando. Here we have Kracko Jr., King DDD's next henchman, who I'm doing a very bad job of avoiding. I suppose that here the idea is that Kracko is some kind of, is somehow the creator of Waddle-Doos. I mean, there's a clear connection throughout the game between one eyes, with that sparkle in them, and, being able to shoot out beams. Although, clearly Kracko shoots out cannonballs this time around instead of beams. Now, as for what these things are at the top, I'm not sure. Are they like Aurora Borealis or curtains? I am really not doing well at all here. I'm kind of surprised. I don't remember ever having difficulty with this game. I guess this goes to show how you lose your skill over the years. Are you kidding me? This is kind of demoralizing. I mean, this is supposed to be a really easy game. Well, I'm pretty bad at video games, so I guess it's not that surprising. Anyway, Kracko Jr. follows a very simple pattern. Shoots out the cannonballs, flies around this formation back to that side, and drops out a Waddle-Doo somehow. I don't even know what it's dropping them from. Is it like teleporting them out? Or are they like growing from it? Anyway, you might notice that the eye escaped, and so it did. We're now very high up in the atmosphere, where there appear to be some kind of floating castle, I guess. Oh yeah. Now here's a segment I did not remember. I want to go down there and get the energy drink. There we go. Oh, and, well, I guess all things pass. Here are Waddle-Dees dutifully following their patrol routes. Look at him walking with... Anyway. Okay. Of course, this entire game was remade in Kirby Superstar under the title of Spring Breeze, or something to that effect. I don't quite remember off the top of my head, honestly. Now, that version shortens it a bit. For example, they cut out Castle Low... Or no, yeah, they do cut out Castle Low, and instead make Low and La the boss of the Float Islands level. I'm not quite sure why, but they also cut out Kabula. Which is a shame, because Kabula is the best. Oh, is there something hidden up here? No, there's not, I guess. We are very high up in the atmosphere now. Following the stars. Hardly a floating platform available to stand on. But there are some, somehow. I suppose they must be caught in orbit around Popstar's gravity. Now here's the famous secret. Of course, we're expected to to go through this door here, which I believe will lead us to Krakow. But instead... What? There we go. We can fall down here and get all sorts of tasty bonuses. Kirby's Adventure also contains a, return to this level. And it features the same secret. Oh, I missed the 1-up. Oh well, we will be fine without it. And as you can see, Krakow Jr. grows into plain old Krakow. Now, I don't know why they call it Krakow Jr., given that, they're the same being. But, also here Krakow goes having an association with beams. Of course, in later Kirby games, One Eyes would be associated with the villain Dark Matter, which is a horrible, evil, otherworldly force that takes control of living things' bodies, and which Kirby saves Popstar from in Kirby's Dream Land 2, and then 3, and finally seems to largely destroy in Kirby 64. I think it's very good they haven't really brought it back since then, because it still makes it feel like Kirby did something really momentous, although we have seen bits of Dark Matter return. Finally, King DDD's castle, atop Mount DDD. I suppose he has a lot of castles, since he has different ones in different games. And now we have to, for this level, we go back to the previous areas and take on the bosses again. So it's one of those boss rush kind of endings. What the? I don't remember this. Well, I guess that's kind of weird. I don't remember that at all. I guess maybe it's been longer than I thought since I played this. Okay, so it's a nice touch having Kirby fall down through the leaves. It gives you some dramatic build-up to the battle against Wispy. Now, obviously, this is a much more inviting sort of aesthetic than something like, say... Oh! This melody! Anyway, obviously, this game has a much more inviting aesthetic than something, your standard, Mumbies! Than something, like where you have to go fight aliens or something. Here, it's much simpler. Oh, God, those things are like what are they called? Phantos. I hate Phantos. It's a Glunk. Man, Glunks, you let yourself go, Glunk. Or really, you just haven't gotten that good yet. All these enemies. There's a Flappy. I forget what those weird things in the boxes are called. And here's another illusory Kirby. What's going on here? Is the idea that Kirby is... I don't know what the idea is. Is Kirby like... Fortunately, he can inhale these boxes, even though he can't inhale low, 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 and la, 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 but... Weird. I mean, so what's the idea here? What's going on? Is King DDD, like, created illusions to make fun of Kirby or something? Okay, I didn't get that box. I didn't get it that time. Or that time. Okay, we'll get this time, though. Or not. They're getting faster, low, 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 and la, 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 are. But we're just down to la, la, la now. Another difference between them and Lolo and Lala, other than the fact that here they're antagonistic, although they're probably Kirby's buddies when they're off duty, is that, Lolo and Lala are boyfriend and girlfriend, whereas Lolo Lo and La 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 are siblings. Which is kind of weird, honestly. I mean, you think that HAL would keep that sort of thing consistent, but it makes it feel sort of incestuous. Nice touch that these spikes are different shapes here, different sizes. Whereas the idea that Kirby has to confront his own inner demons in order to take down King Dedede, the corrupt ruler who doesn't care for his people. I don't know. I guess let's blow up Kabula. Again. I suppose that this is, or is this some kind of memory? Like, it's like an illusion machine. Because after all, Kirby blew up Kabula. Well, I guess the other bosses are fine, because they turn up in later games, so maybe that'll be true here, too. Like, maybe it's the same principle with Kabula. Like, Kabula is, like, not been destroyed, even though it seems that she has. Although you can have a much better argument that Kabula was totally destroyed, given the fact that it will be in the Kirby series another, well, more than 10 years before Kabula shows up again, and when she does, she's clearly been totally rebuilt. It was in Kirby Superstar Ultra, which featured a version of Spring Breeze which was made more difficult as a reference to this game's extra mode. It also has a remix of this song playing in the fight against Kabula. My mind was blown when I saw Kabula return when I first played Kirby Superstar Ultra years ago. And now the same trick applies here, if I recall. Or I thought it did. I guess that I remember incorrectly then. Oh well. Just don't hit the enemies, Kirby. Don't hit them. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Very weird. Kirby taking on his ghosts like that. Maybe they're supposed to... I don't know what they are. In Kirby's Dream Land 3, there are these mysterious things called Batamons, which look like, well, in the words of Ku from one of the manga, they're like fake Kirbys. I don't know what these are, though. On the subject of Waddle-Doos and the One Eyes and Beams and Dark Matter, it's kind of interesting to note that in Kirby 64, the when Waddle-Dee gets possessed by Dark Matter, he turns into a Waddle-Doo. I always thought that was kind of weird. Because what does that mean? Does that mean that all the Waddle-Doos were Dark Matter things all along? I really don't know. Okay, Kracko, let's get this over with. I've always thought Kracko was a scary boss. Not because it's scary looking, it's just kind of weird looking. But because Kracko, I've never been good at fighting Kracko. I don't recall a single Kirby game where I fought Kracko and felt like I was good at it. Although this is a very easy Kracko fight by later games' standards. Even in Kirby's Adventure, Kracko is made a whole lot more elaborate and difficult, just like the whole game was. Packed with hidden secrets and a more elaborate story and way more enemies and copy abilities and everything else. It's really such a huge step up from this one. Although I guess, yeah, even graphically, because Kirby's Adventure is about as fine of a, as technically impressive as an NES game as exists. But all the doors appear to be closed. That's because there's one more to take on. The King. So here we are in a boxing match, or boxing ring anyway, or wrestling ring, or whatever this is. Now note that in this one, King Dedede does not have Kirby's... Oh, he does inhale in this one. I forgot about that. I don't think he puffs up in this one. I'm pretty sure that was added in Kirby's Adventure. In any case, here we take on King Dedede, who has his hammer and who imitates Kirby's own motions. Once again, I don't remember even having the least bit of difficulty with this stuff in the past. Yet here I am suddenly having a hard time. I think it's kind of depressing. How am I supposed to get the stars that he drops with that one? I mean, my main memory of this was I thought it was disappointingly easy when I played it. Yet right now, I actually am kind of in suspense. Like, will I manage to beat the king? He certainly discourages you from using your puff up and float around abilities, doesn't he? You have to be able to read what attacks he's going to use. Like there, I knew he was going to try and tackle. Instead, he falls on his face, and it's kind of funny. And here he's tries to inhale us, and I hope he gets to using another attack that'll cause him to produce ammunition for us to use against him, but I'm not terribly hopeful. There we go. DDD's appearance has changed, his proportions mainly have changed over the years. I definitely prefer a more human kind of proportion DDD to this version, though. So close! I definitely do prefer King DDD's more recent design, where he has a robe and everything else. Although it's hard to tell even that his design's very different when you see him in this sprite form. In Kirby Superstar, they definitely made this this scene a lot more dramatic, because Kirby is fighting the king in front of a big audience of, I suppose, the people of Dreamland, who are, of course, rooting for Kirby to save them. I guess it's testament to DDD's ego that he would, have that fight be held in front of, a crowd like that. I'm doing really, really poorly. Finally managed to inhale both stars. I'm glad. And then the king gets flung from his castle. And the castle now looks sad instead of angry. I'm not terribly sympathetic. I don't believe Kirby ever has displayed the ability to do this, in other circumstances, though, but... MASAHIRO. What a legend. Jun Ishikawa. And they're giving special thanks to Bubby. And Cypher? I wonder who those are. They even have the class to thank the players. I tell you what, HAL Laboratory, they always go the extra mile for their games. And here I suppose Kirby's returning to the city, and the stars catch the castle to drop the food. And the food rains down, and Kirby's, before a cheering crowd here. Real hero. Very charming through to the end. But what's this? This is the extra mode thing I talked about. I don't feel too bad, DDD. You're gonna lose plenty more times to Kirby. A and select. I won't be doing the extra mode, but there you go. If you that's another great thing about it. Not only did they try to make it easy, but if you did want a challenge, they'd let you have one. It's a simple little game, and all of its sequels would make it vastly more elaborate and huge and complex, making it almost epic in scope. But here, it's just something more modest, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Well, let's see how far Kirby's come over the years with the next handful of games then, shall we? Yeah, we shall, yeah.